The wait is almost over. Game one is finally here just over 2 hours from now. The Cubs' quest for the pennant begins against a team that knows how to win in October, the San Francisco Giants. Leicester versus Cueto. Sports Talk Live is at the friendly confines to get you ready. It all starts right now. And welcome in to Wrigley Field on the north side of our great city of Chicago. Everything brought to you by the Chevy Silverado. I'm David Kaplan. Man to my left is Todd Hollandsworth, my partner on Cubs Pre-Post, former Cub and 96 National League Rookie of the Year. David Haugh, the great lead columnist of the Chicago Tribune, and Jesse Rogers from ESPN 1000 and ESPN Chicago. All right, boys, this is what we've waited for. It doesn't seem like the Cubs have played a meaningful game in, forever.
3 weeks.
3 weeks,
March,
at least.
March 15th.
Yeah.
They got their first regulars out there for the first time.
It was funny yesterday. People were asking everybody, "Oh, how long have you waited? How long has the wait been?" Dexter Fowler, since last year. I think since the Mets swept them, I think that was the mindset had developed. What effect does that have, Holly? The motivation, and in other sports, hockey, football, you see that come out in aggression, or it fuels them. How about baseball?
It's very much the same story. You think of how it ended last year, and baseball players talk like this. Usually when they talk about their careers, they talk about it like it's a novel. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Well, they look at their seasons very much the same way. Let's remember, this has been a core group that was here last year, comes into the spring training, ultimate goal. Where did we end last year? Where are we picking up? Where are we going? It really is. I mean, the idea is that you come into the season, you won 97 games. This year you win 103 games. Okay, we won home field advantage. Good, we got that on the check. All right, we're there. Now, what do we have to do? We need to go farther. We need to get ourselves into the World Series. We need to win a World Series. We know that we've got a bullseye on our back, but we got things to accomplish.
I think two things can happen in this series, and maybe they're obvious, but I think either
you can win it, you can lose it.
Yeah, right. The rest and the talent take over for the home team here, the 103-win team, and they just destroy this team. Or it's four or five tight one-run games like they were in early September.
Right.
Cubs went 3-1. I could see a series like that, and the Cubs coming out on top, or possibly
Hold on,
the
let me give our poll question out. We want you to get interactive with our show. You'll see the results right on your screen. We'll make it real easy for you. Here is today's poll question number 1 on Sports Talk Live. Who wins this NLDS, and how does it go down? Cubs in 3, Cubs in 4, Cubs in 5, or Giants win? Go to csnchicago.com, and you can cast your ballot. Just /vote. No special app right now. The leading vote getter is the Cubs, I believe, in 4, but that will be changing on your
and that's
screen.
what I like. I feel like it's a racehorse that's been waiting to go.
Right.
Now, but this is baseball, and if that racehorse hasn't run in 6 months or a year, you wonder how he's. But maybe he's just going to go.
And you look at the other league. You look at the Blue Jays. And you're right, Jesse. They come in hot with momentum, and now they're up 2-0 because they have been the hot team in that series, and the Rangers were favored. The Rangers may be the better overall team through the regular season. The Cubs, that could be instructional to them. Do they pay attention to that and they learn from it?
Well, I mean, I think you pay attention more to what you did last year and what maybe you didn't do at the end, and then what you're looking to accomplish this year. Maybe it's getting off to a faster start. I mean, the one thing that I concern myself with, when you look at all the numbers and we compare them to the San Francisco Giants, honestly, they went across the board, right?
Right.
So we talk about nervous energy at the beginning of a series. We talk about what are the bats going to look like after 4 or 5 days off. I don't worry about the pitching. The pitching enjoys 4 or 5 days off, honestly. They'll be fine on both sides. But in order for the Giants to even do anything in this series, they need for their starters to go long and to be lengthy. I mean, we've got a huge bullpen advantage as well. So, to me, it's just a question of, in this shorter series of 5, if the bats don't wake up fast enough. And that's just really what it comes down to, because here, if they steal a game here and then they end up getting to go home and face Madison Bumgarner and get that all going again.
You don't want to. You
don't want to. But again, so what does it put it on? It puts the premise on getting the bats going and being the better offensive team. Don't let this become a Cueto, John Lester thing, and where we're 0-0 or 1-1 in the 8th inning, and you give them a chance to win a game.
See, I look at the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they're a better team than the Texas Rangers. I don't pay attention to all of that. Oh, they won the wild card game, so they're hot. I think the 4 days is overrated, that it could be a problem, as long as your offense comes out ready to do their
Would you
job.
look at it differently if the Cubs were in the other situation, though? I mean, is that convenient logic?
No, because I didn't feel that way last year. I did not. But the Cardinals were a banged-up team a year ago, too.
Holly, Jesse, when you guys look at the lineup decision tonight, Soler healthy but not in the lineup, decided to go with Javi Baez at second base, Zobrist in left field. What did you think about that decision, and why do you think Joe Madden went that route?
Well, I'll just say that. I mean, it's not like Soler is a Hall of Fame hitter and Baez is a AAA guy. I mean, Baez has really raised his ability at the plate. So if they're kind of even at the plate, you can't keep Baez off the field.
Right, no, you're not looking
too good defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's be honest, he's the better athlete as well. And,
so many things.
Right. I mean, this is Johnny Cueto, and again, he doesn't give up a ton of home runs. He gives up a few more on the road. But the idea is, you're looking at the flags. How do we see this game going? Is it going to be more athletic, or would you think the Cubs are coming out to hit 5 or 7 homers tonight? I just think it's going to be more of that athlete, balls down in the zone, guys making pitches, and the team that can string a few hits together and maybe get some guys in motion gets the scoring going early. I don't think we're getting ready to see a slugfest right away.
But, it's surprising. You look at the other scores, and you see what Toronto has done to Texas. You see David Price, who comes in going, all right, I have got to get this out of my system where he struggled. Boom, it's 5-0. He's gone 3 1/3.
It's different baseball, I feel like. It's still AL baseball.
Right.
You're going to get more runs scored. I don't think you're going to get it here. I'm with you. I'd be shocked. The only thing I wouldn't be shocked is if the Cubs just pulled away because they get to the bullpen.
Well, and they can because, again, they're the better offensive team. I mean, that's the one thing that I've enjoyed watching this year, and it felt like last year that there was a few more stop gaps in the lineup. You look at them this year, Javi Baez has done a nice job. You look at the bottom of our lineup, consistently we're getting production down there.
Even
David Ross has had a nice year.
What do you think
out of the 8-hole
of the pitching matchup tonight, where the Cubs are going to trot out one of those guys who, when it gets to this time on the calendar, he's usually not a Cub. Now you got a guy who, this is where he thrives.
Well, he does thrive, Cap, and I think the track record speaks for itself with John Lester. At the same time, you wonder, I guess, if you're looking at it from last season, was not good in the postseason. He did not have a good October by John Lester standards. I think we've seen the regular season. He's a different pitcher this year. You wonder if, in all his analysis and all the time he's had to think about this, is it easy to block out last year as the anomaly in his career and just become that guy again that he was in Boston?
I think you watch him early. It's plain and simple. I look at his 2 starts against the Giants this year. One was a miserable one and one was a really good one. And it was first pitch strikes, which really stood out in both of those games. The San Francisco Giants are typically an aggressive offense. They like to put the bat on the ball. They like to swing. They'll take their walks, but they don't strike out a lot. So what does that tell you? If you're throwing a lot of balls, hey, listen, they're going to take it. But if you're out over the plate, we're ready to swing. That's kind of who they are. I think they're going to come out trying to swing tonight.
Here's the big question. You played and won a World Series. We've never been on the field. Yes, you think a pro athlete every single game goes out and they give their maximum effort and they're razor sharp every game, whether it's April or whether it's October. When John Lester takes the hill, will it feel different to him?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's a huge difference. I talk about it in terms of younger players. I talk about it in terms of career. I mean, you started as a young man. You hope to get drafted one day. You get yourself into the minor leagues. You want to accomplish something there and get yourself to the big leagues. And then you want to prove to everybody you belong, and then you want to prove to everybody you can stay. Then you want to win you want to go to an all-star game, maybe win a few awards. But then you start talking about that playoff baseball. Totally different atmosphere. It is a buzz in the air. I am in no way surprised that the temperature here in Chicago has dropped 30 degrees for this night tonight because it's our first postseason game this year.
I think, Holly, when guys say they want to keep it the same, it's all about everything until first pitch, right? If he ate cornflakes every start, he's not eating Frosted Flakes now, right? But once the start happens, it's just like Joe Madden. He will manage differently because he will go to his bullpen early.
Well, there should be. We've already seen it in the postseason already this year. The urgency and how you got to manage
the
this.
5th inning yesterday.
Listen, that's what I love to see. I always wanted my manager to think that way. Listen, play desperate because we're playing desperate. Our hair's on fire. Listen, they got the bunting out. When the bunting's out, you got to play like there's no tomorrow.
And you know what? There is no tomorrow for the Cubs because if they lose tonight and you're a Cubs player, can you put yourself in those shoes and say, how much heavier is that burden and what will that be like? You can't really think that way if you're a player, and yet it's all around you. It's inevitable in Chicago.
Well, it's amazing because it is a balancing act of the pressure that's applied to the winning and losing at this time of year. It isn't. I mean, everybody was freaking out a little bit towards the end of the first half when they weren't playing great baseball, but they were still one of the best teams in baseball. So it was like, we'll get to the All-Star break. They'll clean it up.
Right.
Now it feels different. If you don't, God forbid, but if you don't win tonight, I mean, you show up to work tomorrow and things might feel a little different.
And the expectations are so different. A year ago, they lost Game 1 to St. Louis, and I don't think anybody really was in panic mode because if we were playing without
pressure's
money.
off, right.
Here you lose Game 1 as the 103-win team.
Here we
Watch
go.
out.
Yeah,
Watch out.
Exactly.
It's going to be interesting. The weather is still very tolerable.
Sure.
It's going to get
It's
colder.
60 degrees, Cap.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, it was 85 yesterday. I just meant it feels a little fall. There's a little fall in the air.
It's October.
But when you step on a field or you have to step up and play in a situation like this, how much of nerves plays into it, even for a veteran player?
I loved it. I mean, I've talked to, obviously I've done it a few times in my life, and I've talked to guys. I think you either are consumed by it or you embrace it. I absolutely loved it. I mean, honestly, I put more pressure on myself opening day with the expectation of what a new season was supposed to be than I did in the playoff games, because much like you just referred to, house money, I kind of tricked myself into believing that's what we were on. No matter what our position was, where, how many games we won, everybody's back to 0-0. This is house money. Let's go do something great. And it just seemed to put me in a place where I didn't get rattled. I think back to my first at bat against Joe Borowski in the NLCS in 2003 was about a 12-pitch at bat. And I was loving every second out there. I mean, it was like I just never even felt the heat.
You know what's dangerous about that? The Giants are feeling the exact same way. No pressure, and they're coming in with that pedigree.
But I feel like, Holly, did you really play with guys that by the time you get here, does anybody get rattled? I mean, I would assume Addison Russell would be rattled. Wasn't rattled even last year.
The more you do it, the easier it gets. I mean, we talk about it. The more times you get to the postseason, the easier it'll get. But again, you're right. Everybody's a little bit different.
I'll see you on the pregame.
Sounds good.
All right, John Smoltz, who will be on the call of this game tonight, he will join us next. And the coach is in the house. He will throw out the first pitch. Ryan Dempster singing. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wayne Mesper on the national anthem. We'll be right back on Sports Talk Live here at Wrigley.
Sports Talk Live is presented by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers who know what it takes to be number one. It's all about drive.
Today we're going to be comparing these two truck beds. Let's start over here with this aluminum bed. Put your toolbox up here.
Whoa, that's a big hole. That is unbelievable.
Now let's check out the roll-formed steel bed of the Silverado. Same spot, same empty toolbox.
Took it way better. The steel held up.
It's Truck Month. Find your tag and get over $11,000 total value on this Silverado All-Star. Or now through October 10th, get 0% financing for 72 months on all 2016 Silverado pickups. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
We asked people to write down the things they love to do most on these balloons.
Travel with my daughter.
Roller derby?
Now, give up half of them.
Do I have to?
This is the tough financial choice we could face when we retire. But if we start saving even just 1% more of our annual income, we could keep doing all the things we love.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
Is your lunch break a race against the clock? You run here, you run there, until everything comes to a screeching halt. Now is the time for a 5-hour energy protein shot. 21 grams of protein and 100 little calories. It's not lunch, it's energy and protein, and a lot faster than fast food. 5-hour energy protein shots. Energy, protein, 100 calories. Available at these fine stores.
Reimagining possibilities to meet new challenges. At Tata Consultancy Services, our 300,000 consultants do just that for every client, every single day. Proud sponsor of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Tata Consultancy Services. Experience certainty.
Tomorrow night on CSN, Western Powers hit the ice in St. Louis as your Hawks look to throw their weight around against the Blues. Don't miss this primetime matchup. Blackhawks at Blues, live from St. Louis, starting at 7 on CSN Chicago.
Tonight, the Cubs face the Giants in Game 1, and CSN has complete coverage. Get ready with Cap and Holly an hour before the first pitch, and after the final out, flip back for clubhouse reaction and more. Cubs Postseason Live, tonight at 7 on CSN.
John Lester goes for the Cubs tonight at Wrigley, and he's been lights out at home up here. Check out stat of the day driven by the Chevy Silverado. In his last 10 starts at the friendly confines, John Lester is 9-0 with a 1.31 ERA and 70 innings pitched. The whip, walks, and hits per inning pitch, 0.867. In those 10 starts, he's allowed 0 or 1 earned runs 8 times, has never allowed more than 3 in a game. The last time he lost at Wrigley Field, way back on May 15th. Welcome back on Sports Talk live here at Wrigley Field in advance of DS Game 1, Cubs and Giants. David Kaplan, David Hogg, Jesse Rogers, and we welcome one of the men who will be calling the game. He's one of the great pitchers our sport's ever seen. He's John Smoltz. All right, this type of matchup, there's obviously going to be pressure on the Cubs because of the history, the 103 wins. How do you compartmentalize the pressure to be able to just do your job and not let anything bother you?
Well, first and foremost, I can just say I can't wait to watch this series. I think it's going to be a great series. And what the Cubs did in the beginning of the season, embracing the challenge, whatever their slogan, they've done a great job in being able to do that. And they've got the veteran presence that doesn't allow them to get too hyped and too low. And I think for John Lester, he's been there, done that, right? And I think it comes down to execution, as it always does. I don't like the format. I always said the playoff format is not a great format, does not reward the best team in baseball, never has. They have to do something about that. But having said that, Game 1 is the most important game in a best-of-5 series. 70% of the teams that win Game 1 go on to win. So as a starter, I took that as a mantle to say, not on my watch. I'll pass the baton and give you a better chance at 1-0 versus 0-1.
You were part of a Braves organization that had that tradition, that had that postseason sort of gravitas every single October. What role can that play for the Giants coming in? Because this is a series that really is the Cubs' promise versus the Giants' pedigree. You know, the Cubs haven't done what the Giants have done. How do they capitalize on that?
Well, experience is only as good as if you put yourself in position to utilize it. Like, I always used to think that experience gives you the advantage. But if you put yourself in that advantage position, if you don't get any hits and don't pitch well, experience means nothing. And I think for the Giants, though, it is this calmness about nothing's going to bother them. I mean, they've played now a 9-inning, almost 0-0 game with a 3-run homer. They've played so many incredible games that 12 members of their team have won 3 championships. You don't see that very often. So that has an advantage. But they know what their work is. Their work is going against a team that has got so many advantages and edges. They have it on the pitching, the hitting, the defense, the running, and the bullpen. The only thing that you can have a crack in the armor is base running against your starting pitchers in Chicago. And nobody runs anymore, so maybe it's not as big as an advantage as once thought.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, but I want to go back to Game 1. I mean, the Cubs lost Game 1 last year and won the divisional series, so maybe, it is important. I agree with you. But this idea, and you never had to experience it, this idea of waiting all week while the other team plays this Game 7, it did propel the Cubs, I felt, last year. It really did. Their first playoff game, they win it. They beat the Cardinals, and then they maybe hit a wall. But this momentum versus rest thing.
And look at the Blue Jays.
Right. Look at the Blue Jays. I feel like the momentum shows up in Game 1. Maybe the rest, in terms of the Cubs getting rest, shows up throughout a series. But the series is so fast that maybe they can't take advantage of it.
Well, there's too many days off, first and foremost.
Madden has talked about that.
And I'll tell you right now, they got to fix that. Because imagine if you win that Game 7 wild card game and you got to play the next day, which you would do in the regular season anyways. But you'd be a little bit more fatigued. And I think for baseball, they're trying to always figure out, and I think they will do a better job of making sure that these kind of scenarios don't keep playing out. And for a team that has to rest, there is a benefit in it, and then there's obviously something that you just mentioned isn't a benefit. And it's trying to recreate something by not playing. Only veteran guys that have been through it before can understand what that's like. And every manager's tried everything in the book. And until somebody comes out and invents a different way, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Can you, though, look at it and say, well, the Cubs came out of the All-Star break 4 days off, smoking hot. They played great baseball. They came out of spring training where they hadn't played meaningful baseball. They go 25-6 to start things. Can it be looked at in that way as well?
Yeah, listen, I'm a big believer. First and foremost, everything's a mindset. And however you choose to look at it and however you choose to approach it will probably play out that way more times out of not. And I think that's the mindset you have to have. I'm not losing. I'm not losing. Doesn't matter if I haven't played in 5 days. I'm going to execute. I know I'm going to be prepared. And I think for the team, again, I'm just telling you, they have many more weapons to not have some not working to be able to overcome.
They're too talented.
Yes,
they're too talented. I saw Scott Boras at the All-Star break. Granted, he has a lot of these guys. Cubs were slumping, and he just looked at me and said, they're too talented. Relax. Everything's going to be okay.
And it came true.
So
but you talk about Game 1 being important. Everybody, I think, accepts that. Is it more important to the Cubs because if you wake up Saturday morning in Chicago, after the type of season the Cubs had, going against this team, the Giants, that's going to feel more than being down one game. That's going to feel like the burden of history on their shoulders.
Yeah, and I think they've done a nice job realizing none of them were born, right? So they're not attached to it.
Embrace the target.
But here's the thing that I've never seen in any other playoff scenarios as much as you're going to see now. What did everybody talk about? Madison Bumgarner's going game 3.
Right.
So what you start doing is playing the series before it happens.
Looming.
And you start going, well, if we go 1-1,
right.
You got Jake Arrieta, too. This is why this series is going to be so compelling. Every starter that goes into these games has a chance to win it for their team. The Cubs have just been better throughout 162 games with their starters. And I think when you really want to get down to it, San Francisco has to figure out how do they finish games, because their pen has been a little bit of an issue.
Your thoughts on John Lester? Last year, he was good, but he wasn't John Lester. This year, he was elite. What do you expect from him tonight?
Tremendous focus and discipline to his game plan. I don't think he's going to deviate whatsoever. His command of his fastball has always been his biggest asset, and the fact that he grinds out at bats. And the thing that I think for John Lester, keeping the right guys off the base will keep the idea of nobody being able to steal, because that's really the only way you can crack a great pitcher like John Lester, if you create enough pressure on second base. But his opponent's batting average, of running scoring position, everything he's done, I've always been a fan of him. I got a chance to play with him a little bit at Boston, and his work ethic and the way he goes about it, he's a pretty fierce competitor.
What's the best approach against Johnny Cueto?
You've got to be patient. I know that sounds easier said than done, because Johnny Cueto has 4 different deliveries that he can utilize at any time to mess up the timing of the hitter. He does it about as good as anybody. He recognizes the swings, and I think the biggest thing you got to do is not get carried away and try to hone in on a pitch you're going to look to hit.
Appreciate your time.
My pleasure. I'm telling you, I can't wait.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. There he is, John Smoltz will be on the call of the game tonight. More STL from Wrigley right after this.
Hey, zombie, use your brain. The best Kia deals can be found at Schaumburg Kia.
During our sales spooktacular, lease a brand new 2016 Optima for just $99 a month.
Bob Rohrman.
Bob Rohrman's Schaumburg Kia, just west of the Woodfield Mall on Gulf Road, Schaumburg.
The Bank of America Chicago Marathon app, powered by Tata Consultancy Services, has everything you need for Marathon Week. Get event schedules, maps, and track runners' progress in real time. Stay connected every step of the way. Download now.
Between halves, check in with CSN's Chris Bowden and former quarterback Jim Miller for their thoughts on the first half and more on Bears Halftime Live. Presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Streaming live at csnchicago.com.
Hi there, I'm Bob Eubanks. And if you're struggling with an IRS tax debt of $10,000 or more, I want you to call my friends at the Tax Defense Group. They recently turned a client's $100,000 tax debt into a refund. You gotta love that. So call the Tax Defense Group now. They'll give you a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and they're open 24 hours a day, because tax debt doesn't sleep either.
Call now, 800-341-8220.
Briggs Show, Tuesday at 11 on Comcast Sportsnet.
All right, time for Built for Business. This decade, the Giants have been built for business in October, especially when they start postseason series on the road. Check out this stat built by Comcast Business. In 4 Game 1 since 2010, Giants are perfect 4-0 including every series in the 2014 postseason, en route to their third championship in 5 seasons. All right, 2 rock stars conversing on the field. Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam and Paul Sullivan of the Chicago.
I thought he was talking about us. But Sully qualifies.
What about the coach?
The coach is also on the field.
How can the Cubs lose? How can the Cubs lose
Never.
tonight?
The coach
Won't happen.
here. All right, again, our poll question is, how does this division series shake out? Go to csnchicago.com/vote. You will see the totals on your screen. Cubs in 3, 4, 5, or Giants win. David Haw.
Did you have Cubs in 2?
Cubs in 4
Cubs in
is
2
running
for
away.
Cap had Cubs in 2.
He did.
They're going to call it before it starts.
Exactly.
I actually have the Cubs in a sweep.
I had Cubs in 5. I think that it's going to be a tight series.
Before I knew it was the Giants, I said Cubs would sweep the first round. Now I'm saying 4. I watched Baumgartner. My favorite tweet during the wild card game, it was like the 8th inning. It was still tight and everything. Just got one tweet, and he just didn't even say the guy's name. He just said, we only see this guy once, right? That was it. We only see this guy once, right? Everybody knew. I knew what he meant. You know?
He's outstanding. No question.
As Smoltzy said, you don't concede that game if you're the Cubs.
You don't.
You have
Of
Jake
course
Arrieta
not.
going, and anything could happen.
Well,
but
correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Madison Bumgarner was undefeated this year.
Exactly.
He
I
can
mean,
be
that's
beaten. He puts his pants on one leg at a time.
Whoa, that's boldness. You're confident. You're almost too confident.
I'm not
right
too
now.
confident.
Little bit.
If the
You're
Cubs
close.
don't win the series, I come out and say they were beaten.
Who
by
had
a
the
team
Rangers and the Red Sox both down too?
Exactly.
I mean,
That's what I
craziness.
thought you'd be a little more cautious about, because the Jays went into Texas and were like, we don't care.
Look, here's my take on it. You have the best team. You're healthy. You got elite talent. You're better, as John Smoltz said, in every facet almost.
Facet.
That means you go out and take care of business. If you don't get it done here, it's on you.
But you thought that going into the NLCS too, Cap.
I did not. I thought they were going to lose to the Mets.
You thought they were going to show better than they did.
I did,
swept.
but I didn't think they would win that series.
I think the Cubs have been the team that has risen to every occasion this season in terms of expectations. So I don't think this is a good time we're going to stop doing that.
54% of you, that is the winning total. Cubs in 4. 34% have the Cubs in a sweep in this series.
Wow.
That's possible. I mean, I'm not saying it's... Look, a giant sweep seems out of the realm. It's just even for baseball.
Boys,
a Cubs
enjoy
sweep
the
does
theater.
it. Come on, Haw.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Join the bandwagon.
We got Cubs pregame coming up top of the hour. We've
Cubs
got
in
news
2.
coming up
Cubs
next.
in 2.
Have a wonderful day, and then Holly and I will see you after the game. You turn right back to CSN. We'll have an extended post-game show for you. Enjoy the night, everybody. Have fun. Cubs and Giants. Game 1 of the DS is coming up soon.
Esurance does auto insurance a smarter way, like their photo claims tool. It helps settle your claim quickly, which saves time, which saves money. And when they save, you save. That's auto and home insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call. Esurance does insurance a smarter way, which saves money, like bundling home and auto coverage, which reduces red tape, which saves money. And when they save, you save. That's home and auto insurance for the modern world. Esurance, an Allstate company. Click or call.
Here's some information. We have the right amount of beer taps. If we had any more, the kegs wouldn't stay fresh. Any fewer, and we might not have that beer you like on tap. The one you can't pronounce, so you just point. We've got all that and more, which makes us pretty confident. We've got that confident look in our eyes, the squinty one with the furrowed brow, because of the taps.
Did you just see that? That was awesome. We have to try it. Okay. Okay, mine's not working. Maybe you have to bump it. Oh, yeah, do the bump it thing. Right. Okay. Yeah.
You can take money out using the BMO Harris app.
You want to buy a hairless cat? There's a pet store down the street.
Cool.
I think she said BMO Harris app. Yeah, that makes more sense.
When your phone is your debit card, that's the BMO effect. BMO Harris Bank. We're here to help.
Today we're going to be comparing these 2 truck beds. Let's start over here with this aluminum bed. Put your toolbox up here.
Whoa, that's a big hole. That is unbelievable.
Now let's check out the roll-formed steel bed of the Silverado. Same spot, same empty toolbox.
Took it way better. The steel held up.
It's Truck Month. Find your tag and get over $11,000 total value on this Silverado All-Star. Or now through October 10th, get 0% financing for 72 months on all 2016 Silverado pickups. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
The Bank of America Chicago Marathon app, powered by Tata Consultancy Services, has everything you need for Marathon Week. Get event schedules, maps, and track runners' progress in real time. Stay connected every step of the way. Download now.
Thursday on CSN, the men in red are back in Bridgeview for an Eastern Conference clash with Columbus. Cheer them on from your couch as they try to crush the Crew. Fire versus Crew. Live at 7 p.m. on CSN.
I'm Anthony Rizzo, and you're watching the home for Cubs baseball, CSN Chicago, presented by State Farm.
To Sportsnet Central, presented by Comcast Business.
It's a huge night in Chicago sports with all eyes on the north side. Welcome to Sportsnet Central, presented by Comcast Business. Live site with Luke Stuckmeyer. I am Pat Boyle. Cubs fans, the postseason has finally arrived.
We're ready to get you set for Game 1. Anthony Rizzo caught up with David Kaplan, talks about the playoffs and much more, but let's dive right in. It is the hunt for October. Our Cubs playoff coverage brought to you by Lexus. We bring in Kelly Krull. No Cahill, no Caesar on the playoff roster, Kelly.
Not really, Luke. Those were the two names that might have caught a couple people off guard, but Jen Hoyer said earlier in the week that the Cubs would have some tough decisions, and by putting Albert Almora Jr. on the playoff roster, it shows the team's priority in defense for the NLDS. It was also John Lester who said that a lot of times those last few roster spots can come down to what have you done for me lately, and Almora Jr.'s numbers a bit better than Caesar's in the month of September, but we'll see if the Cubs can get those bats going early tonight after having nearly 5 days off. A lot of them trying to keep their routine the same this week, but spending their downtime a little differently.
I slept a lot, just kicked it with the family, worked out, and coming here and being with the guys is awesome as well. We looking at the TV, laughing and joking, and just having fun.
I'm one of the guys that I don't like to rest. I always like to be doing something. So this couple of days off, it was good for us. Obviously, we all tired. I mean, all the teams are tired. But I prefer to keep playing.
Like any great pitcher, getting to Johnny Cueto early will be key for the Cubs. A World Series champion a year ago with the Royals, and Cueto is 2-3 with a .535 ERA and 7 career postseason starts. He's familiar to the stage. He knows Wrigley well, having made 15 starts here, and Cubs hitters know every pitch matters from here on out.
Obviously, there's a bigger emphasis on every pitch, and every single bat and all that is magnified. But anytime you can see a guy more and more, we got to see Cueto with the Reds numerous times. All that stuff helps. But at the end of the day, it's just about execution. That's what I love. It's just so simple as, like, am I going to execute my game plan, or is he? And if we execute ours, I like our chances to beat anybody.
Beating the Giants with their even year and all the hoopla going into that, it's going to be tough, and we're going to have to overcome a moment in the series, or maybe even a few. But we've done it all year, and we don't see why anything's going to be different.
John Lester in his 19 regular season wins, looking to set the stage here tonight in Game 1. Already 2 World Series championships to his resume, and anxious for number 3. And Luke, this is why Theo brought him here. He thrives on the postseason stage, and he will have one heck of an environment and crowd to pitch in front of here tonight at Wrigley. It is hopping. Let's go ahead and send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks, Kelly. Rest of the series schedule released earlier today. Tomorrow night's game just after 7 o'clock, a little bit earlier then. Game 3, late one in Chicago, 8:40 Central Time to start that one off. And if necessary, games 4 and 5 will have a 7:40 first pitch next Tuesday and Thursday.
Lester steals away possibly a hit.
A little Corey Crawford going on with the glove save.
And Lester no-hitting the Giants through 5. Lined into center. Fowler leaves his feet. Makes a catch. Lester's through 6.
Go through the first inning, you think no-hitter. Anybody that tells you different is lying to you.
It'll bring up Hunter Pence. Hit in the air to deep left. Caesar is back on it. It's gone.
Just like that.
Called strike 3. Cubs win. Cubs win as John Lester completes a gem.
Well, that was September 2nd, just over a month ago, when John Lester tossed a complete game against the Giants and a 15-4 thrashing on the north side. Now, this season, Lester matched his career high in victories with 19. This will be his 4th straight year that he's pitched in the postseason, and he gets yet another Game 1 start tonight. Now, Lester was 0-2 in Game 1 starts last season against the Cardinals and Mets, but he enters this postseason on one of the best stretches of his career. Over his last dozen starts, Johnny's 9-1 with a 1.46 ERA, and his season ERA at Wrigley, under 2, 1.74. Joe Madden spoke about the kind of demeanor his lefty brings to work.
His demeanor is John Lester-esque. John is, I think a lot of it's internal. He's a thinker. I think he's constantly analyzing what's going on in front of him, whether it's on or off the field. So it's just his personality is kind of quiet, but it's very confident.
We're just getting started with our Cubs coverage. There were 3 games on the docket before our first pitch at Wrigley. Blue Jays bats were back at it again, looking to take a commanding 2-zip lead. And Big Papi, David Ortiz, and the Red Sox were looking to split their series in Cleveland. After a rough preseason showing so far, Fred Hoiberg's confidence in Nico Mirotic is still high. Sportsnet Central coming your way after this.
Sportsnet Central brought to you by Comcast Business. Comcast Business, built for business.
Did you know your business doesn't have to suffer from slow internet? Comcast Business now offers blazing fast internet speeds up to 250 megabits per second, over 6 times faster than DSL. Get internet for as low as $59.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business. Did you know sharing Wi-Fi with your customers could leave your business exposed? Only Comcast Business offers Wi-Fi Pro, 2 separate networks, one that's private for you and one that's public for your customers. Upgrade to Wi-Fi Pro for only $19.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business.
Do you have too many bills but not enough money? Would you like one lower payment for all debt, little or no money down? I'm attorney Peter Francis Geraci. Our Chapter 13 plans stop collections and creditors in one day for as low as $95 every 2 weeks. Get rid of bill collectors and high car payments. Get one lower payment today. Call or click now.
When you need to be debt-free, call 1-800-CALL-PFG. That's 1-800-CALL-PFG.
We asked people to write down the things they love to do most on these balloons.
Travel with my daughter.
Roller derby?
Now, give up half of them.
Do I have to?
This is the tough financial choice we could face when we retire. But if we start saving even just 1% more of our annual income, we could keep doing all the things we love.
Prudential, bring your challenges. The Bank of America Chicago Marathon app, powered by Tata Consultancy Services, has everything you need for Marathon Week. Get event schedules, maps, and track runners' progress in real time. Stay connected every step of the way. Download now.
This week, High School Lights is on Saturday night. As the playoffs draw near, join Luke Stuckmeyer for a half hour of highlights, interviews, and reaction from around the region. High School Lights, tomorrow night after Blackhawks hockey on CSN.
Well, it's almost hockey season, right? How do you say domination in French? No idea. I took Spanish. French-Canadian announcer Roger Brulat, I think you could hear him there. He's a wee bit fired up after Jose Bautista's Game 1 bash against the Rangers. Toronto tagged Cole Hamels for 7 runs, went on to win that one 10-1. Today, the Jays had more of that power coming their way. Rangers were looking for a career outing from Yu Darvish. Unfortunately, it was a career worst. Top of the second, Yu Darvish against Troy Tulowitzki and Tulo. Hey now. Jays up 2 as we move to the 5th inning. Jays now up 2-1, and Toronto's just getting going here. Kevin Pillar crushing one down the line. Then a couple batters later, Ezequiel Carrera joins the fun. And then Edwin Encarnacion completes the hat trick. 3 homers in the frame. Darvish gave up a career-worst 4 long balls in this one in just 5 innings of work. Toronto wins it 5-3. They can close out the series on Sunday north of the border.
Other playoff action, Game 2 between the Red Sox and Indians, all tribe early on, and it has continued. Top of the 8th right now, 6-0 Indians over Boston. Dodgers and Nationals kicking off their 5-game set. Corey Seager for the Dodgers homered in the first inning, then Justin Turner taking Max Scherzer yard with a 2-run shot in the third. It is 4-3 Dodgers right now in the top of the 5th inning. The Bulls went back to work after last night's preseason loss to the Pacers. D. Wade poured in 10 points in 22 minutes. Rajon Rondo had 14. And backup point guard Spencer Dinwiddie tallied a team-high 19. Who? Dinwiddie, that's right. Forward Nico Mirotic, well, on the other hand, he's been struggling. Second straight game, just 2 for 14. Only 6 points so far in the preseason.
Yeah, as I talked to Nico after the game last night, he's had, where have we gone? I think 12 days. He's had 10 really good days and 2 days that haven't gone, the way that he would have hoped. Unfortunately, those were the 2 games that were on TV and in public. But, I've said this all along. He's had a very good training camp. He's made simple plays. He's tried to be a ball mover as opposed to holding it. And the shot's going to fall. The least of my worries is Nico Mirotic's shot.
Meanwhile, remember Linsanity? Jeremy Lin, Brooklyn Nets debut. How's that? He scored 21 points in 17 minutes, but he also airballed a layup. Oh, likely a sign of things to come for the Nets this year. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Finger roll to the air.
Just a bit short. To the ice now, Coach Q, the Hawks. We're practicing today at Johnny's. They'll have their final preseason tune-up tomorrow in St. Louis. We'll have it for you right here on CSN. The regular season beginning Wednesday against the same Blues on the west side. Many wonder which line Marian Hossa will play on this year. Will he be with Taves or a third-line role like he was in the playoffs? The 37-year-old knows he could be working with multiple lines to start this campaign.
I talked to Q about it, and he wants to balance the lines, and I'm totally fine with that. Wherever I can help the team, that's up to the coaching staff. And I finished the season with the third line, and we play so much ice time in the third line. So as long as you play, you're in the game all the time, you're okay with it.
More Cubs talk headed your way. David Kaplan caught up with Anthony Rizzo, who tells us why he's already envisioning a World Series parade. That's Rizzo I'm referring to, not Cap. Cap's planning the parade. We head back to Wrigley. Ken Rosenthal will tell us why the Cubs have the edge in the bullpen. Stick around. More Sportsnet Central next.
45 still going. I got my 10-year anniversary coming up next week.
Should take her to Champagne Lodge. Best thing I ever did.
Just 25 minutes from Chicago, the Champagne Lodge features exceptional whirlpool suites, in-room pools, and a complete menu of spa services, making any stay above standard.
I gotta go, guys. I gotta pick up drapes. Drapes? I gotta go cut the lawn.
You've tried bungee cords, cinder blocks, chains, and even messy sandbags, but nothing seems to work until now. Secure your cargo with Cargo Wrap. No matter how awkward your load, Cargo Wrap will hold it in place for gas cans, propane tanks, even plants. Manufactured in America, in Atkinson, Illinois. Available in consumer and heavy duty. Pick up Cargo Wrap today at local retailers or online at cargowrap.com. Get it now.
On the next drive, Lincoln Way East football, presented by Riverside Healthcare.
Aaron Toppin was a 2013 graduate of Linkway East, and his passing in Afghanistan was a big deal to our community.
You know, such a tragedy has brought together a community, and like Amanda said, we're blessed to be part of this community.
Tune in to High School Lights tonight at 11 for this edition of Drive Griffins, only on CSN Chicago.
CD Peacock, turning moments into memories since 1837.
Tonight, the Cubs face the Giants in Game 1, and CSN has complete coverage. Get ready with Cap and Holly an hour before the first pitch, and after the final out, flip back for clubhouse reaction and more. Cubs Postseason Live, tonight at 7 on CSN.
This week, High School Lights is on Saturday night. As the playoffs draw near, join Luke Stuckmeyer for a half hour of highlights, interviews, and reaction from around the region. High School Lights, tomorrow night after Blackhawks hockey on CSN.
That's twice now. It was unbelievable. I remember the last one like it was yesterday, and that one was even better.
Along the right field line. And Rizzo on the left. He's got it.
I was impressed at his, balance beam abilities.
I was hoping for at least a 9.5 from the Luxembourg judge.
Oh, what a play!
We got the tarp catch. Now we got the ledge catch.
He may not look like a great athlete, but he is a great athlete. I love you, Riz.
Give him the gold glove right now.
Well, this season has added on more tarp or ledge-catching heroics from Anthony Rizzo. Over 100 wins, an NL Central Division title celebrated 3 weeks ago today. We even saw Rizzo tape an episode of Luke's favorite show, Beer Money. But now it's October with only one goal in mind, of course, a World Series.
Hey, one cheddar goldfish, which was impressive. Now, in the postseason, every player goes under the microscope in the spotlight, and our David Kaplan caught up with the Cubs first baseman who put up MVP-like numbers this summer.
How do you handle the pressure, the scrutiny, all of it, or is it no different than for you playing a game in the middle of July?
It's definitely different than middle of July because every pitch, everything is under the microscope. So you just got to go about it and trust that all the preparation that you've done to that day, to that game is going to work, and there's nothing you can do. Leave it all on the field, and at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Take us inside the clubhouse. Are guys talking about the World Series?
Yeah, for sure. Start visualizing it, start visualizing that parade, start believing in it. Everyone's starting to believe it, and it's the power of the brain and what your thoughts are going to say you're going to do, you're going to do it.
Joe said to you guys at spring training, I was out there, embrace the target. We're not going to run from the target, because a lot of teams here have tried to run from the target and the pressure got them. And Joe said, no, we're going to meet it head on. Was that the message day one?
Yeah, I think we did a good job of that too. We got off to a good start, and we kind of just pretty much boat raced the whole year. Had a nice lead pretty much all year, and we finished it off by winning the division, and now it's really focusing on October and embracing that too, because it's going to be fun, and we don't know if we're going to make the playoffs again. There's no telling, so we really have to enjoy it.
We hear from fans that they're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous for the playoff. You're the guy that's got to go play. These are fans that'll be sitting on their couch or in the seats. Do you laugh at that, or do you understand Cub fans being nervous?
Yeah, of course. I'm a sports fan too, so I get nervous watching a third down play in college football. Let alone, their beloved team is in the Cubs. So it's why we love sports so much, and we're the reason why. The Cubs are a big reason why people love sports so much, and things aren't going to go our way every game in the playoffs, but it's about bouncing back from it and figuring out how to make them our way.
What is the Cubs way? We always heard about the Cardinal way, but now it's the Cubs way. What does that mean?
I think it's being a professional. And coming in, doing your work, we don't do a whole lot of work, so when you do it, you need to focus. Respecting 90 is the biggest thing for us right now. Is you respect that 90 feet, you're going to respect a whole lot of other things too that come along with it. And it's paying attention to the little things and paying attention to the detail.
Last one. Joe Madden, what's he like to play for?
He's the best. He just lets you be you. No matter where you're from, he understands that we're not robots. We're human beings. We have lives. So we're not just here to be robots. He understands that we have other obligations sometimes. The main focus is on baseball, but he knows that he's just so easy to talk to. It's the best.
And he fills out a lineup card. It's time for Built for Business, presented by Comcast Business. Here's Madden's Game 1 lineup. You go, we go. Dexter Fowler, of course, leading off. Chris Bryant, Rizzo, Zobrist follow. Addison Russell, Hayward, Baez, David Ross rounded out with Lester hitting 9. Big decision was defensively. Baez starting at second, Bryant at third, and Zobrist at left. Comcast Business, built for business. We make our way back to Clark and Addison. Joining us now from Wrigley Field, Ken Rosenthal from Fox Sports. Ken, we've seen how the Blue Jays have used the wild card win as a catalyst into their divisional series. Do you believe the Giants could do the same thing and the layoff could hurt the Cubs hitters?
Well, that's always a fair question going into a division series with the top seed because they do have the layoff, but the Cubs have taken seemingly every precaution. They had the simulated game, they had the workouts. Madden says they're in a good state of mind, they're working well, so it shouldn't be an excuse, but at the same time, these things do happen, and the Giants right now do carry that momentum from not just the wild card game, but from the final week of the season where they really got themselves together again.
Ken, it's been well documented John Lester struggles throwing to first or holding a runner on first. Do you think the Giants could test Lester and lay a bunt down early in this game?
I expect they will test him, but at the same time, Lester's gotten a lot better, at least with holding runners and cutting down stolen bases. Now, bunting is a different matter entirely, and yeah, it's possible they do that. Gorkis Hernandez is in the lineup tonight. He is not Denard Span as far as the leadoff man is concerned, but he has that kind of ability to do that kind of thing, and others as well. But we've talked about this for a long time. How many people have actually bunted on John Lester? Not that many.
But there hasn't been this much at stake. But you're right. During the regular season, not a lot of people do. Hey, where do you give the Cubs the biggest edge in this series?
Bullpen. And the Giants' bullpen, the numbers are a little bit deceptive. Last 6 weeks of the season, they were okay in innings 6 to 8, actually pretty good. It was inning 9 and beyond that was a problem for them. And now that they've got Romo in there, it seems to have straightened out some. But at the same time, we all know that the Cubs' edge is with Chapman and Rondon, Strop, and the whole gang that they have out there. It's a pretty good group. So I would expect that would be the Cubs' edge. But really, with the quality starting pitching on both sides, I'm not sure we're going to see a whole lot of relief pitching early on, especially.
Fox Sports' Ken Rosenthal. Enjoy the series, Ken. We'll be watching.
Thanks.
And we're taking you up to Cubs postseason live at the top of the hour. More Sportsnet Central after this.
Get the Bob Roman Indy. Oh, no. To pay the rent. Get the Bob Roman Mr. Bill. Ooh. I scared him. How was that?
I like that.
Bob Roman.
The conference call, the ultimate arena for business. Hour after hour of diving deep, touching base, and putting ducks in rows. The only problem with conference calls, eventually they have to end. Unless you have the Comcast Business Voice Edge mobile app. It lets you switch seamlessly from your desk phone to your mobile with no interruptions. I've never felt so alive.
Get the future of phone, and the phones are free.
Comcast Business, built for business.
How do you maximize your Sunday football experience? The DirecTV Red Zone channel.
We have a full day of football.
With nonstop live coverage of all the action and none of the commercials.
You want to get interactive?
Get every score and then some, all on one screen. Every Sunday.
You ready for that?
Including games, next to games, next to games. Even stream it on your favorite devices, so you can watch your team on the big screen and everyone else on the other.
Touchdown!
The Red Zone channel. This fall when you upgrade to NFL Sunday Ticket Max, channel 703, only on DirecTV.
This is an important medical announcement for anyone suffering from back or knee pain. If you or a loved one suffers from back or knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, relief is only a phone call away. You can qualify for a pain-relieving back or knee brace at little or no cost to you. Call our pain management hotline today and also get free delivery. If you have Medicare, you may immediately qualify to receive your back or knee brace at little or no cost. We'll handle all the paperwork, work with Medicare and your doctor on your behalf at no charge to you. Stop living in pain because the brace you need is too costly. We also have braces available for shoulders, ankles, and wrists. You may be eligible to receive these items and more at little or no cost. Call Plus Benefits now for more details. This is a free call and there is no obligation.
Please call 800-952-9455. That is 800-952-9455.
Welcome back. Because of our Cubs postseason coverage tonight, high school lights won't run at its normal time. That's 11 o'clock. Instead, you're going to see it tomorrow morning, 7:30 or 8:30, or tomorrow night, 9:30, right here on Comcast.
The 8:30 edition, I hear, is the better one of the three. That's what rumor has it.
Pat, I'm anchoring it. All three are going to be spectacular Emmy Award-winning editions.
Okay. Edgy Tim's better at 8:30. You're great in all three.
That's true. You can also find it at csnchicago.com.
All right, big news in the world of golf. Tiger Woods is going to finally tee it up. He's going to make his return next week at the Safeway Open. 40-year-old hasn't played in just over 14 months. He's had a couple back surgeries. His last tour win 3 years ago.
Cubs have been putting up video game-like numbers this season, but how about this? Cubs fan Johnny Fitz created Super Cubby Brothers, an 8-bit video game-inspired video. Hopefully the Cubs find infinite lives in their postseason. Remember, I think you went on a duck or something like that, and you bounced the duck, and you got, like, infinite lives.
Yeah. We got you covered before and after every postseason games. We're calling it Cubs Postseason Live. We'll set the stage for the opener, an hour-long show starting in like 3 minutes. That'll take you up to first pitch. As soon as the game's over, Cap and Holly back with analysis and locker room reaction. So it's time to head back to the north side for more pregame coverage. Thanks for watching Sportsnet Central, presented by Comcast Business.
Don't forget, 24/7 CSNChicago.com. Go ahead and fly the W. We'll see you later.
My whole career, I was pretty much bald, so people just got to know me as being a bald guy.
When I would see myself in pictures, I realized that that's how people saw me.
It was the one thing that was hurting my confidence, and that was my hair.
I was so unsatisfied with the way that I looked.
Get your own head of thick, full hair with Restore.
Here at Restore, we've mastered a procedure that doesn't require any cutting or stitches.
They take the hair from the permanent spots around the side and back of your head, and they put them in the front where you need them. It's that simple.
Comb it, cut it, style it. It's your hair. You are just one call away from looking and feeling more confident.
I like the way I look now.
Imagine a life where you never have to think about your balding ever again.
The rest of your life, you will have hair, and you'll be happy every day.
I feel better with hair. I owe it all to Restore.
Call Restore today for your free consultation and get a $500 gift card. It may be the first step that changes your life forever.
Call 1-800-769-5108.
Reimagining possibilities to meet new challenges. At Tata Consultancy Services, our 300,000 consultants do just that for every client, every single day. Proud sponsor of the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Tata Consultancy Services, experience certainty.
Do you have too many bills but not enough money? Would you like one lower payment for all debt, little or no money down? I'm attorney Peter Francis Geraci. Our Chapter 13 plans stop collections and creditors in one day for as low as $95 every 2 weeks. Get rid of bill collectors and high car payments. Get one lower payment today. Call or click now.
When you need to be debt-free, call 1-800-CALL-PFG. That's 1-800-CALL-PFG.
This may look like just a car driving down the road, but the Camry is so much more. It's the product of over $1 million an hour of research and development to enhance its cutting-edge features. We worry about every single detail, so by the time it gets to you, there's nothing left to worry about. Tested, trusted Toyota. Right now, get 0% APR for 72 months, plus $500 bonus cash on a new 2017 Camry. Find yours at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Postseason Live, presented by Fields Auto Group.
Hello, welcome in to Cubs Postseason Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group, along with Todd Hollingsworth. I'm David Kaplan. Cubs and Giants get ready to tee it up in the NLDS Game 1. John Lester, Johnny Cueto, the electricity palpable.
It's as if, the baseball gods dropped the temperature 30 degrees and turned it to October, right? We were just kind of laughing about this the other day. 80 degrees is hot. It feels like summer. Doesn't feel like it's, that time of year, but now it does. Boy, the smell is in the air. You can feel it. The fans are filling in. It is an exciting time. Let's see what this Cubs team's ready to do.
And again, when you watch the game tonight, you will find it on Fox Sports 1. So, again, check for your channel listings. FS1 will have the game tonight, and it should be a lot of fun because you can get interactive with our show. Also, go to your tablet, your mobile, your laptop, and go to csnchicago.com/vote. In a little bit, we are going to give you a poll question. You will see the results right on your screen. Let's look at the postseason roster. Some interesting decisions. One that you and I probably thought was going to make the roster was Matt Caesar.
Right.
He does not make it. Tommy LaStella does, and Albert Almora. Any surprise on the position player side?
Well, no, I don't think when you look at what you need defensively and what you're looking for versatility-wise off your bench. I mean, LaStella's done a fantastic job, really, as a pinch hitter. He hits velocity. That's a must, especially late in the game. I look at it and feel like maybe you could have gone one way, but I don't. The reason it's a tough decision is because both decisions, in my mind, are right decisions, and that's the unfortunate part about it is that you have to hold somebody back. It's not like Matt Caesar deserves to be off this roster. Maybe I would say that he slumped at the wrong time. I mean, that's about all I can say. I mean, we know that he can impact the game. We know that he can come up with a big pinch hit. We know that he's a good defender, as is Almora. I mean, that's just kind of what it comes down to. And maybe it's as simple as saying this. One had a better September than the other.
That's exactly what it came down to, is what it sounds like from talking to some people around the club. All right, time for our fan poll question. Which roster decision surprised you at home the most as you looked at the Cubs' 25-man NLDS playoff roster? And you got Almora, Coghlan, LaStella. How would you vote on that?
I think LaStella being on the roster because he was the one guy that I thought there was maybe I should say it this way, that Coghlan and LaStella are both on the roster. I didn't know if it was going to actually play itself out that way. I mean, the way that I looked at it is you had the two righties in Caesar and Almora, and then you had the two lefties. I just didn't know how the combination was going to go. And were you really, as much as we thought going to carry three catchers, going to carry three catchers? The reality is, and the answer is absolutely yes. David Ross, you see him, he's going to be in there tonight. And you're going to use all the other three. I mean, Contreras goes and plays multiple positions. It is the versatility that you have when you look at this team and you say, okay, well, what makes sense? You left the versatile guy off the roster, but you're replacing him essentially with the same type of versatility, so you're not shortchanging yourself.
The one thing is, when you look at keeping Almora, keeping Coghlan, if you had kept Caesar,
you're taking more outfield types.
Sure.
Yes, you're using them as bench bats. Tommy LaStella does give you an ability to play third, to play some second, and a left-handed bat off of the bench. So the hiccup that he went through in the middle of the season where he left the club for a while when he was supposed to go to Iowa, that has been put to the side, and they are ready to go, and we'll see how he performs.
Absolutely, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. I certainly get it, but that's it. I mean, this is the time of year, Cappy. This isn't about individuals any longer. This isn't about MVP talk. This isn't about Cy Young talk. This is about winning baseball games.
It's right there, winning.
11 wins needs to happen, and we have to come up with the right combination each and every day to go get those 11 wins, and that's really what it comes down to.
All right, time for our Coors Light game report. Third member of our team, as all throughout the season. Here's Kelly Crow.
Thanks, Cap. Well, having just discussed the rosters, that is part one of the chess match that is bound to play out here in the NLDS between Joe Maddon and Bruce Bochy. A lot of toys to have fun with, Maddon might say. Both of these managers very well respected in this game. Boch with 43 playoff wins to his resume and willing to do just about anything to get his team a W. And Maddon, a three-time manager of the year. We've seen firsthand the madness behind his methods. And while, of course, it will come down to the players executing their game plan, the brains behind the strategy will certainly be entertaining as well.
The strategies and what the other guys are thinking, I just know from the years playing against the Giants and Bochy, he does a really good job at having two guys up all the time, ready for that pinch hitter, ready for the left-on-left matchup. So, and Joe, playing with Joe, he does a great job. So, the managers could take a team so far, but the guys gotta come through in that situation. They could put us in the best situation for us, but we gotta execute.
Situations like this, a lot of times it's the reverse kind of guys that can be beneficial. In other words, the righty that's better against the lefty, or the lefty that's better against the righty. You have to be cognizant of those moments. But just know that he's a cowboy and he'll do anything. And whenever you're managing against a cowboy, it's always interesting.
Joe, from a strategy standpoint, I don't see how anyone can be better. I think he's proven that over the years. His thought process is different than a lot of managers I've played for. I think I've played for 8 already. And just to see him and how he thinks is really interesting. And I think there's a reason why he's had a lot of success. And that's a tribute to him. And I think that he could obviously really help its matchups. He thinks a lot differently.
Bochy announcing tonight that Jeff Samardzija would be the Giants' Game 2 starter, as we expected, going against Kyle Hendricks. But he went on to say that Shark could be used out of the bullpen from there on out. Keep in mind, guys, this is the same guy who used 3 of his 4 starters in Game 6 of the NLCS in 2010. So things could get interesting, and let the fun begin, right? Cap, let's go ahead and send it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Now time to take a look at our Ameristar Casino Hotel starting lineups. Joe Maddon will trot out this lineup card to home plate. Fowler in center, Bryant at third, Rizzo at first, Zobrist and left, Russell at short, Hayward in right. It'll be Baez at second, David Ross catching, and John Lester pitching. For Ben Zobrist, his 38th career postseason game. Holly, he pretty much gave the Cubs everything they were looking for when they signed him this offseason. Versatility, a lot of time at second, and he was really good.
He's number 4 hitter for a really good team, a team that won 103 ball games this year. Now, I know he's not your typical number 4 hitter, but I mean, the one thing that when you go back and look at this season, you look at the numbers, you look at the fact that this team walked as much as they did. You have to believe that guys like Ben Zobrist, who came on board, are part of the responsible parties for what was spread throughout this entire group. Great offensive at-bats, great approach. I think back to early in the year, going into Anaheim, going up against Garrett Richards and running his pitch count through the roof in the 5th inning. It started then, and it's gone all season long. That's where credit has to go to guys like Ben Zobrist. In there every day, grinding every day, not giving away at-bats, starting things the way that this team has played all season long. A lot of power, a lot of walks. It's who they are. But a guy like Ben Zobrist in that .385 on-base percentage has been a big part of it.
All right, let's take a look at Bruce Bochy's lineup card. This is what he will bring out to home plate for his San Francisco Giants. You take a look at his card, you've got Hernandez, Belt, Posey, Pence, Pagan, Crawford, Tomlinson, Connor Gillespie, the hero of the wild card win over the Mets, and Johnny Cueto. Let's talk about Buster Posey. This is a guy that did not hit as well as he normally does this season, but he's an elite star.
Well, I mean, again, and they have the kind of veterans on this team that you don't worry about what September tells you. You don't worry about what the season tells you. You respect them anyway. Now, Mr. Posey, he's got great numbers against John Lester. There aren't too many guys in this lineup that really do, but he is the number one threat in my personal opinion because he is clutch. He will come through, and he did over the last week. If I told you, Cappy, he had a down year, but he had a great last week of the season, would you have the same level of fear knowing it's Buster Posey?
Absolutely.
Much more so would I. That's the kind of the point that, of who these guys are. And that's what you have to see when you look at the San Francisco Giants. Some of these guys, Pence didn't play all season long. Pagan, Crawford. I mean, they didn't have a 20-homer guy. They didn't have a 90 RBI guy. But when you look at what their track record is, a winning World Series, and here they are in the postseason once again, you've got to respect them.
Let's talk about Brandon Belt. Here's another guy that can belt the baseball. He is a very talented player, and he's one of those guys you look at and you go, I don't know if he makes an all-star team. I don't know if he beats out our guy. And then you look at him and you go, well, that guy just delivers.
Well, and this is the one thing that you have to be very careful when it comes to Mr. Belt is the fact that he streaks kind of like a Jay Bruce streaks. And you'll see him at times. He'll disappear and he'll go through down cycles. But when he's going through that up cycle, he can carry an offense. It's scary to watch him get hot. Be careful with this guy. You don't want to see him heat up. He did have a pretty decent game in the wild card game, had a couple walks. If I remember correctly, he took Syndergaard to the center field wall. So I thought, oh boy, that's a guy that I was keeping some mental notes on. But keep your eye on Belt because he has a good approach. He'll take his walks, but he is their big left-handed power guy in their lineup.
Also, let's talk about an ex-Cub who's in their lineup, Angel Pagan.
Yeah.
He is a very gritty, tough, hard-nosed guy. The other night, he hit a slow roller to the right side. And you talk about respecting 90. He beat the play down at first base. He never, ever takes a play off.
He looks to me like a guy that's, takes no prisoners. And, Angel has been playing his entire career almost as if he's got a chip on his shoulder. Like he's got a lot to prove to an awful lot of people. And good to see him out there. Good to see him healthy. The one thing that they've had, the problem with in San Francisco isn't when he's on the field. It's the fact that he's missed so much time and he's been dealing with injuries. But they've got him now. They've got him right in the middle of the lineup. Keep your eye on this guy. Now, the Giants don't run a ton, but he is one of the few guys that will get put in motion in the middle of that lineup. He can steal a base. He is a good defender, and as I said, plays with that chip on his shoulder.
All right, again, they're going to run Johnny Cueto to the bump, and he may not be Madison Bumgarner, but he was the All-Star Game starter.
He's a competitor. There's no doubt about it. He's got a book of magic tricks, and you're going to see it tonight. You're going to see the Louis T out. You might even see him drop down and throw from the knuckles. I mean, he'll try anything to get it out. He loves to use his two-seamer in the zone. I mean, this is a guy, Johnny Cueto, who is a competitor as well. He's good, but I think you can get to him early.
All right, let's talk about John Lester against Johnny Cueto. It's a really good matchup.
It really is. John Lester, interestingly enough, his two starts this year against the San Francisco Giants. One awful,
exceptionally diverse,
right, and one incredibly well. But there's one thing that really stands out. First pitch strike efficiency. It's the one thing that really was the difference between the two starts. He couldn't throw his fastball for strikes in San Francisco, and when he got here, he did. And not only did he throw it for strikes, he got swings and misses. He got a lot ahead of a ton of hitters and dominated this San Francisco Giants lineup. Well, you know what? That happened at the early September. I'm playing off of that one right now. I expect to see that John Lester working that two-seamer away and that cutter in.
All right, more from Wrigley. You are watching our postseason pregame show as we get you set for the Cubs, the Giants, Lester, Cueto. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be right back on Comcast Sportsnet.
Cubs Pregame Live is presented by Fields Auto Group. Fields matters because you matter. See Fields first. FieldsAuto.com.
Is there such thing as a free lunch? Yes, as well as breakfast for our Fields customers at any of our locations with a cafe. Hello, I'm Dan Fields. There's also free loaners and free car washes. You see, a Fields customer not only gets our lowest price, they also get all of our amenities at no additional cost. There is one thing you don't receive, pressure. We simply treat people the way we want to be treated. It's a commitment to our customers we made long ago. Fields matters because you matter.
You know the feeling. The rush of every roll, every flip, sip, bite, note, and night. You know the feeling. Get it at Ameristar.
In Chicago, some things just go together, like front porches and blue W's. bricks and ivy, Waveland Avenue and souvenirs, Jake and State Farm. Like home and auto insurance with State Farm, they just go together, and they save you time and money. Just another way we're here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Some things are simply impossible to ignore. The strikingly designed Lexus NX Turbo and Hybrid, the SUV that dares to go beyond utility. This is the pursuit of perfection.
It is 60 minutes until the start of the game. There's still time to give Feldco a call. 866-4FELDCO. You can catch tonight's game, don't forget, on Fox Sports 1. They will have the TV broadcast, then you flip back to us for our post-game coverage. Welcome back here at Wrigley Field. He's Todd Hollinsworth. I'm David Kaplan. It's been great to be with you all season long as the Cubs go on and win 103 games and now are the home field advantage through the National League playoffs, and we'll see exactly what happens in this series. Cubs-Giants, winner gets either Nationals or Dodgers. Time for our pitching matchup, brought to you by our friends at Bona Beef. And it's Lester, Cueto. We talked a little bit about it, but let's talk about John Lester's numbers. 19 wins against 5 losses. He has been magnificent here at Wrigley. He doesn't have a loss since May the 15th. His numbers are eye-popping analytically, any way you slice them. What's your take on John Lester now coming out of the warm summer months where he really gets loose and feels good? And now he's pitching, as Theo Epstein says, hoping to be here when the ivy turns red.
Let me give you a great number. You ready for it?
Bring it on.
13-0 at night. 13-0 at night. I mean, that's what John Lester's done this year. I mean, the numbers just keep adding up. He's had a fantastic season. I don't expect to see much different than what we've seen all season long. I've said this so many times about John Lester. He's a bit confusing to me at times, meaning, you know, he's got 4 pitches. You're going to see the 2-seamer. You're going to see the 4-seam fastball. You'll see the cutter. He'll throw that little big breaking ball at times, sometimes to wipe out a hitter, sometimes to get ahead of a hitter, and now he's even working in the changeup. But when you look at how he goes at hitters and how he changes his game plan as the game goes along, it really is amazing. It speaks to his success, the ability to control all 4 of his pitches, all 5 of his pitches consistently all season long. The only thing that stands out for John really is that fastball command. Sometimes if it's up, he'll get himself in a little bit of trouble. That's what guys are trying to do. But when he's getting strikes at the bottom of the strike zone, honestly, almost unhittable.
All right, you look at his postseason numbers, 6-6, a 2.77 ERA in his career in the postseason. His number is even better in the World Series. Did that twice with Boston, won World Series. How much does having that experience help him, or it's overrated?
No, it's not overrated. I mean, the more you go to the postseason, the more you breathe easy. I mean, this is really what it comes down to. The more opportunities I had throughout my career, the first time I was a nervous wreck, got past it, got through that first round, and the next time I went back, it was a little better earlier. The third time I got there, I was okay by about the second game, and I was good to go the rest of the way. So it really does speak to experience. There's no doubt about it. The more that you have, the more comfortable you're gonna be, and the more you're out there in this kind of atmosphere. I mean, how many times, Cappy, do you remember a Cubs game started at 8:15 local time?
Yeah, rare.
I mean, there's things that are different. The bunting's out. I keep talking about it. I mean, it feels like opening day. It's a special day. There's no doubt about it. The players feel it that way, but at the same time, it's business as usual. When you get to opening day, it's the start of something. When you get to game 1 of the playoffs, it's the start of the beginning of the end, so to speak, which will hopefully end with a World Series win.
All right, time now for Built for Business, brought to you by our friends at Comcast Business. Today we're looking at Johnny Cueto's 4 starts in the last postseason. His first outing gave up 4 runs, 7 hits in 6 innings. Then he gave up 2 runs on 2 hits in 8 innings. In Game 2 of the ALCS, he lasted just 2 innings, allowing 8 runs on 6 hits. But he bounced back in Game 2 of the World Series, throwing a complete game, giving up just 1 run on 2 hits for the Royals, who went on to win it. Comcast Business, built for business. Boy, he is all over the map there. but when he had to really man up and pitch a gem, he did it on the biggest stage.
Well, Cappy, you just asked me about playoff nerves. This is exactly it. When you go and look at every one of these starts, particularly last year, the damage that he gave up was always at the beginning. I mean, even his first start where he gave up 4 earned runs in 6 innings, all 4 of those runs were given up in the first 3 innings. In fact, his next start, he gives up 2 earned runs in 8 innings, but those 2 runs happened in the 2nd inning. He gets blown out in Toronto, doesn't even get through the 3rd, gives up 8 earned runs, and then he's great by the time he gets back home again with Kansas City. I mean, it just goes to show you that, you know, that adage that, you know, when people say, you know, you got an ace on the mound, look to be aggressive early in the count, it really does matter. A lot of times they make their mistakes in those first innings as they look for their fastball command, take in all the energy, all the hype, everything that's going on, and start to calm themselves down. Now, if Johnny Cueto does calm down, he can go CG on you. That's the problem. He did it 5 times this year. But if you can get to him and you can keep him rattled, you can get in that bullpen early.
Can this crowd play some role in getting him rattled? I know he pitched for the Reds against the Pirates in the wild card game a few years ago, and the entire crowd is swaying back and forth. Cueto,
no doubt about it.
And he really struggled.
Well, and that's exactly what happened in Toronto last year. He had an absolute meltdown. He imploded, basically, and lost control of really, I don't want to say he lost control of himself, but every pitch he threw literally almost seemed to find the middle of the plate, and he was getting teed off on. So, I mean, there is that opportunity. I know it's a little bit more complicated because I've told you, you know, the Cubs have been off for a few days. But if there ever was a time I'd love to see them come out roaring early in a game and score some runs, it's against Johnny Cueto, and it's tonight.
All right, let's talk about the respective bullpens. For Chris Bassio's group, they have an elite bullpen. If you look at all the analytical rankings, the Cubs of the postseason teams are the number 1 or number 2 ranked bullpen. When you look at what they've got, your take on this bullpen, the way they've set it up on this roster?
Well, they tried to match up. I really think that's what you did. I mean, you have to remember that, you know, all season long we've been getting long, lengthy starts from our starters. And what does that tell you? That matchups might be the way to go. I mean, you know, that's why maybe a Montgomery makes it over a Cahill. Cahill says, well, I get 3 innings out of him. You know, you probably could get that from Montgomery, but the idea is that if I need to get 2 lefties in a row out, or I need to go lefty, righty, lefty in the 8th, and our starter took it through 7, I've got a couple of them, right? And I think that's the balancing act that you saw. Bruce Bochy did very much the same thing, and these 2 managers were kind of going at it. I thought it was very interesting how they picked their guys, including Bruce Bochy as well, who took an additional lefty, probably for Anthony Rizzo. But you see, that's what you're looking to do. You're looking for that balance. It's not about getting, you know, an inning and a half out of a guy. When you put your bullpen together in the postseason, it's about getting key outs against key hitters.
Let's talk about Bruce Bochy's bullpen quickly. They have changed closers. The Cubs have locked in on when it was Rondon, and then it went to Aroldis Chapman, and that's it. For the Giants, they have had their issues.
Yeah, they definitely have. You know, the way they look at their bullpen is constructed. Their lefties, they're soft tossers for the most part. Light is not. He's the one guy that throws a little bit harder, but these guys throw their sliders. I mean, that's what Anthony probably is expecting, and, you know, our lefties in the lineup, Jason Hayward as well. But when you look at the righties, they're the power arms. That's kind of the power side, but they're a little bit more erratic. So they've had problems. I mean, you mentioned it. Castillo has been their closer all season long. Sergio Romo is now the closer. 4 for 4 in September. He's done it before. He is a slider machine. I mean, that's what you're going to see. So they've got a couple soft guys down there. And knowing Bruce Bochy and what, you know, has happened, or maybe even what's been talked about this Cubs team, I would almost be inclined to believe that he's going to use the soft tossers a little bit more than the power guys that you'd think he would use late in the ballgame.
It's going to be interesting to see how he matches things up, because that has been their one Achilles heel. All right, we will take another timeout. We've got more to do here. It is electric in this ballpark. Again, you can watch the game on Fox Sports 1. The Cubs and the Giants. When the ball game is over, Holly and I will be right here on the field for you with our post-game show. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back right here on Comcast SportsNet.
Did you know your business doesn't have to suffer from slow internet? Comcast Business now offers blazing fast internet speeds up to 250 megabits per second, over 6 times faster than DSL. Get internet for as low as $59.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business. Did you know sharing Wi-Fi with your customers could leave your business exposed? Only Comcast Business offers Wi-Fi Pro, 2 separate networks, one that's private for you and one that's public for your customers. Upgrade to Wi-Fi Pro for only $19.95 a month. Call today. Comcast Business, built for business.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models. And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Knaus BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
If you have used the blood-thinning drug Xarelto, you may be at a higher risk for serious internal bleeding. If you or a loved one have taken Xarelto and suffered internal bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney bleeding, brain hemorrhaging, or your loved one died, call the Rely On Group.
If you or a loved one took this drug and were injured, call the Rely On Group right now.
Call the Rely On Group now at 800-234-3116 for a free consultation.
Welcome back to Cubs Postseason Live, brought to you, as always, by our great partners at the Fields Auto Group. He's Todd Hollinsworth. I'm David Kaplan. Another chance for you at home to get interactive with our show. Get your mobile, your tablet, your laptop. Go to csnchicago.com/vote. Here is our question for you. See the results right on your screen. Will the long layoff affect the Chicago Cubs? Holly, how do you vote?
Well, it's more complicated than that, Cappy. Of course it is. It's a good question, but it's a hard one to answer. The one thing I know for sure, if you were to tell me if it was going to affect the Cubs, I'd tell you the pitchers, it won't affect the pitching. No doubt about it.
Yeah, the arm feels rejuvenated.
You better believe it, right? 5 days is the perfect amount of time for some rest and recovery. You know, a little light toss on the side, you should be good to go. The bats are what I concern myself with. It's as simple as this, and I got to talk to Jed Hoyer about this. This is not easy to figure out. I mean, you'd love to continue to play, but it's just it doesn't work that way. And it's as simple as saying, I look around baseball, this is not a Cubs problem. It's just a problem that sometimes you have in the postseason where your hitters are put into a holding chamber because they're not allowed to play for 5 days. You got to just find a way to burn off that energy and try to stay as sharp as you possibly can. It's as simple as that. I can't project what's going to happen. So is it an issue? Well, I think I've been ranting and raving long enough. Clearly, I am a little bit concerned about it just because those days off are different for guys. Some guys, they'll roll right through it and they'll be like, I'm good to go. Other guys, it's like, where'd my swing go? And it takes them a couple games to get going.
Yeah, I didn't hit the big leagues. You did it successfully. But I look at it and think, boy, after a long season, your body gets a chance to just heal up a little bit and you recharge the battery.
Got to swing that bat, though, man. That's the one thing. We are all baseball players are creatures of habit. Repetition. Ground balls, throwing, hitting. We want to keep doing it the same way that we've been doing it all season long. And when you get to the days off and you're not competing in a game at the end of the workout, it just kind of gets a little odd. You did it 4 days in a row, actually almost 5 days in a row. So,
all right, we've got to take a timeout. When we come back, you will hear from Cubs catcher David Ross, who's in the lineup tonight, catching his buddy John Lester. He's Todd Hollinsworth. I'm David Kaplan. You're watching Cubs postseason live action right here on Comcast SportsTalk.
This Cubs Injury Report is brought to you by ATI Physical Therapy, taking physical therapy to a higher level. Ask your doctor about ATI Physical Therapy. Get there.
If you call Chicago home, you know it's not the subway. It's the L. There's only one tallest building. Real pizza's baked in a dish, and it better be deep. And there's only one way true Chicagoans pay. Wintrust. Bring it home, Chicago.
Experience the thrill of the Lexus Performance line. Because the ultimate expression of power is control. This is the pursuit of perfection.
Look at it, lads. New York City. Just doesn't get any better than this.
Actually, it does. With Grubhub, you can get the best foods delivered anywhere.
Gluten-free pad thai here for Seamus.
I am Seamus.
Gluten-free?
Yeah. Can't even taste the difference. Oh, you gotta lock up that front tire.
Did you just see that? That was awesome. We have to try it. Okay. Okay, mine's not working. Maybe you have to bump it. Oh, yeah, do the bump it thing. Right. Okay. Yeah.
You can take money out using the BMO Harris app.
You want to buy a hairless cat? There's a pet store down the street.
Cool.
I think she said BMO Harris app. Yeah, that makes more sense.
When your phone is your debit card, that's the BMO effect. BMO Harris Bank. We're here to help.
The Hard Count, featuring Brian Urlacher, presented by Restore, Thursday nights at 10:30 on CSN.
All of us at CSN Chicago would like to send our support to our friends and out-of-market satellite viewers in the state of Florida and along the Atlantic coast who have been affected by the recent devastation caused by Hurricane Matthew. We are by your side, and we are thinking of you. To support people affected by this disaster, we urge you to visit redcross.org, call 1-800-RED-CROSS, or text the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. Your support is certainly needed and greatly appreciated. And welcome back on our Cubs postseason live pregame show here on the field at Wrigley in advance of Game 1 of the NLDS. The Cubs and the San Francisco Giants, who have won 3 of the last 6 World Series. Cap and Holly with you. David Ross has had a phenomenal final season. And as our Luke Stuckmeyer tells us, this is a season that he will never, ever forget. We look back on some of his top moments.
It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to say, yeah, we expect to win, and our goal is to win the World Series. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
David Ross's expectations for his final Major League season were clear. One more World Series ring before riding off into the sunset. And his teammates got him a new set of wheels in spring training.
I'm letting him have a little fun with me. You know, the whole grandpa thing. I just got, I get the gray beard, but I told him, I said, don't let me hit the first home run in spring or whatever, because I'm gonna come here really loud and letting everybody know.
Ross and the Cubs roared out of the gate, and the backstop added another memorable moment on April 21st in Cincinnati.
It's a no-hitter! Jake Arrieta has done it again!
The 15-year veteran reached a milestone in May, belting his 100th career home run.
And he drives that one to left, number 100!
There's no better feel in the world than that stuff, when people just because I've been on the other end when it's not a lot of fun, you're not so good.
In June, Ross celebrated Father's Day, and so did his son, Anthony Rizzo, who sent him a heartfelt card. The rest of the team got in on the act as well.
Hello, world. Happy retirement to me.
Ross started his career as a Dodger, and it came full circle in August as he and the Cubs said farewell to the great Vin Scully. And the final homestand of the regular season brought memorable moments.
Stumbling, bumbling, and rumbling.
I hit third base, and I didn't know if I was going to make it, honestly.
Look what he just did. Look what he just did.
And plenty of emotion.
I don't have any left. I got no emotions. Thank you. God, I'm such a crybaby.
You know, Lester doesn't want to come out of this game.
Is Ross
coming out? Is he going to get Ross one more ovation? How about that?
I've never done this before, but I'm taking you out of the game. I'm like, what? And so then I pulled my mask down because everybody started telling me they love me. I'm so appreciative to the fans here in Chicago for the way they treat me and embrace me and this team and the way they respect me and give me so much credit I don't deserve.
As the Cubs prepare for October, we know the Cubs' elder statesman will certainly enjoy the ride more than anyone.
I couldn't write it any better.
Luke Stuckmeyer, Comcast Sportsnet.
Luke, thank you very much. Here's a look at some of David Ross's career achievements. His first career home run came back in 2002 off of former Cub Mark Grace. He also pitched 2 perfect innings for the Cubs last season. He caught Jake Arrieta's no-hitter back in April. Holly, have you ever seen a backup catcher who was one of your teammates?
Twice.
And kind of a mentor to you as you came up? have you ever seen a backup catcher become that kind of a cult hero around a city?
Hey, first of all, let's get this straight. I was his mentor, if anything. I am way older than David Ross. He's had a fantastic run, going all the way back to our right, all the way back to our years in the Dodger organization. I was, on my way to the big leagues and trying to establish myself there. David was this up and coming young man, and I our paths crossed. I think it was only for a day or two. I saw him at San Bernardino, low A ball, as I went down to play a couple games, but he definitely stood out. His leadership skills were there, and I certainly made a mental note then, and I wasn't surprised to see him in the big leagues soon after, having moments for the Dodgers. And then obviously I played with him at the Cincinnati Reds in 2006, and that was a joy because he was really establishing himself. I honestly thought he was going to be, Yadi Molina type. Now his career went in a little bit of a different path. I mean, not the leadership. I mean, most people believe he'll be a manager in the big leagues whenever he wants to be. I just thought that, the ability to maybe catch and put out 500 at bats was going to come his way. And when I saw him in Cincinnati, that's exactly what he was doing for us. Now he became everybody's favorite answer as that second catcher in an organization, and you look at how he's complimented people throughout his career. He's done a phenomenal job. There's a reason why I believe it's 5 consecutive 2-year deals. What does that tell you? I mean, this is a guy that you're looking to bring in and have impact on your big league roster. So we've watched him throughout baseball. We've watched him in Boston win. We've watched him with stars, studs on the mound. I mean, he's John Lester's personal catcher. I mean, all of this stuff matters. But his leadership on this team, I think he probably will remember his career as much for this as anything else that he accomplished along the way because of his role and how important he was to this group.
All right, very quickly, defensively, who do you like better? Just give me a quick one.
I like the Cubs better. I like their versatility. I think that, listen, the Giants are one of the best defensive teams in baseball, but when I watch Eddie Russell ranging 100 feet for pop-ups, I mean, listen, it's hard to say that anybody's better.
Yeah, like 27 miles an hour. Right. They had him clocked at some ridiculous number. All right, we will take a timeout. When we come back, Kelly Crow will take us on the other side of the diamond, the inside report on the San Francisco Giants. You're watching Postseason Live, our pregame coverage getting you set. It's the Cubs and Giants coming up on CSN.
I'm Dan Fields of the Fields Auto Group. We've prepared a Joe Madden Signature Edition vehicle. It will be raffled off at the end of the season with the proceeds going to many of Joe's favorite charities.
But not before I have the pleasure of driving it to and from the ballpark. Thank you, Dan, and everyone at Fields Auto Group for this special vehicle and for making this all possible.
For official raffle rules and complete details on how you can win this Joe Madden Signature vehicle, go to fieldsauto.com.
It is an honor for Fields Auto Group to help good causes like Cubs Charities and Misericordia. Fields matters because you matter.
When you're on hold, your business is on hold. That's why Comcast Business doesn't leave you there. When you call, a small business expert will answer you in about 30 seconds. No annoying hold music. Just a real person, real fast, whenever you need them. So your business can get back to business. Sounds like my ride's ready.
Don't get stuck on hold. Reach an expert fast. Comcast Business, built for business.
How did DirecTV build the first-of-its-kind channel dedicated to fantasy football live on Sunday? They put together a team of in-studio experts with insightful in-game analysis of Sunday's biggest plays as they happen. Plus the latest NFL.com stats, injury news, and storylines that affect your lineups. Stay connected to the source on your favorite device while your team is on the big screen. All in a Sunday's work. Only NFL Sunday Ticket Max gives you the DirecTV Fantasy Zone. Upgrade your Sundays this fall. Channel 704.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital. I feel like a fish with no water.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor. Because even one attack is one too many.
We're getting you set for the Cubs and Giants Game 1 of the NLDS here at Wrigley Field, and I am now joined by Amy Gutierrez, also known as Amy G to everybody in San Francisco. She is the Giants reporter for CSN Bay Area, and Amy, it's been quite a run for the Giants of late, certainly a big win against the Mets, and now here they are riding that momentum into Game 1, but this is a team that is certainly, as we all know, the numbers, been there and done that. What is their mindset like right now? What is the vibe vibe like inside that clubhouse?
Well, I think that they're very confident right now. And as you're well aware, they had a very difficult second half. And that's something that through the postseason run that this core group has had, going to the postseason 4 times now in 7 years, I don't think they lost their confidence as much as they had in the second half of this season. And we saw in that last final stretch, that last homestand, they started playing like the team they know that they can be. And they ended up sweeping the Dodgers to wrap up the season. They clinched outright that wild card spot on the last game of the regular season, and then they had a huge win against the Mets. So I think you're looking at a very confident bunch that once again is an underdog, and that's kind of when they play their best baseball.
But is there pressure for the Giants who, hey, for the last even years, for so many, they're expected to get this done in 2016?
Absolutely. So 2010, 2012, 2014, and it's called Even Year Magic, and it's a whole slogan all around the Bay Area, around the state of California. And I think for sure the Giants feel pressure to come through on another even year. But I do know, after interviewing a lot of the Giants after the wild card win, they kind of feel like they're playing with house money right now, and the pressure's on the Cubs, who have the best record in baseball. So I think they're actually kind of loose and having some fun, but definitely would love to see that even year magic come through. But they're also trying not to read into it too much. Hunter Pence saying in a press conference in New York that 2016 is a number, it's a year. We just want to follow our dream and play baseball.
Now with Johnny Cueto, this is a guy that this team really follows suit, it seems like, behind what he does out there.
Johnny Cueto has been an exceptional addition to 2016. He was a great offseason acquisition by GM Bobby Evans. And what you see from Johnny is a fun aspect. I mean, he has this funky shimmy. I asked him the other day when the Giants clinched the wild card, I said, do you have a special postseason shimmy? And he said, well, we'll see. We'll see what I come up with. He works fast, so the infield really enjoys working behind him. And he has bonded with Buster Posey, maybe kind of in an unexpected way. You didn't know if a language barrier was going to hinder them at all, but they have become absolute besties in that clubhouse. Buster really enjoys him. He really respects him. And it's a very nice balance to Madison Bumgarner, who is very businesslike on the mound, very animated and emotional. And Johnny's kind of lighthearted, and if you're going to tag him out, he'll give you like a little body bump while you do it. So I think he's just been fabulous for the balance in that clubhouse, and he has been a phenomenal performer this year.
What a matchup we have in store. Game 1, NLDS. Amy, thank you so much for being with us. The Giants and the Cubs coming your way.
On the next drive, Lincoln Way East football, presented by Riverside Healthcare.
Aaron Toppin was a 2013 graduate of Lincoln Way East, and his passing in Afghanistan but was a big deal to our community.
Such a tragedy has brought together a community, and like Amanda said, we're blessed to be part of this community.
Tune in to High School Lights tonight at 11 for this edition of Drive Griffins, only on CSN Chicago.
This rusty mess isn't going anywhere. Don't trust it to just any cleaner. Trust CLR. CLR makes quick work of the toughest jobs, dissolving crusty white buildup so your shower runs like new. CLR cuts through hard water buildup and helps keep your washer running clean. CLR also earned the EPA's Safer Choice seal, so it's safer for your family. Trust the power of the CLR family and trust your clean to CLR. CLR is available at these fine retailers.
When you visit Canals BMW, your toughest decision is which BMW will you drive home? A sporty BMW convertible? BMW sedan? BMW coupe? Or one of these BMW high-performance luxury models? And of course, everybody can get into one of these beauties. Canals BMW. Outstanding selection, competitive pricing, always a great decision.
Hello? This is she.
Is that the doctor?
Okay, wow, really? It's 2? That's great news, thank you.
It's 2?
Yes, it's 2. It's 2 for 1 windows at Feldco.
Feldco is offering 2 windows for the price of 1, with no money down and no interest until 2018.
2 windows for the price of 1, and soon. Hurry.
Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Here's how Cubs hitters have fared against Johnny Cueto in their career. Chris Bryant has missed batting average, 3 for 5 against him. Addison Russell, 3 for 6. Jorge Soler, 1 for 2. But they're the only Cubs with a lifetime average over 300 against Cueto. Anthony Rizzo's had the most at-bats, but hitting just 120 over the Giants starter. After making it to the National League Championship Series last season, everyone looking at the Cubbies to take the next step in 2016. From the time the group gathered for spring training in Mesa back in February until the champagne flowed at Wrigley in mid-September, Northsiders gave their fans a regular season they'll never forget.
Well, obviously the goal is to win the World Series.
Point of focus is going to be to embrace the target.
A season of great expectations opened with simple declarations and a stealth signing.
Surprise.
The journey began with a gem in Anaheim from the reigning Cy Young winner. But 2 games later, the Cubs were dealt a major setback.
It's not the way that you plan your season going by playing 2 games and then now you're out for the season.
Addison Russell lifted spirits with 1 swing in the home opener, the first of many clutch hits. Then Jake Arrieta made history for the 2nd time in 11 starts.
Jason Hayward makes a catch. It's a no-hitter. Jake Arrieta has done it again.
I envisioned pitching like this. Even when I had a 5 in Baltimore.
New addition Ben Zobrist was unstoppable in early May, but Javier Baez stole the show on Mother's Day.
Deep left center! Game over! Cubs win!
John Lackey arrived and immediately showcased his firebrand personality.
How many home runs does he have?
3.
I got a long memory. I didn't come here for a haircut. I came here for jewelry.
A crazy game at Miller Park featured Little League glove switching. A great escape from Travis Wood, and to top it off,
Cubs lead 2-1.
We saw an incredible catch from Hayward in San Fran. Grandpa Rossi blasts his 100th career home run, and Chris Bryant assaults the Wrigley video board once again. 2 rookies came up in June. Albert Almora Jr. let his glove do the talking. And Wilson Contreras made a memorable first impression with his bat.
That one is gone for a home run on the first pitch he ever sees in the big leagues.
Baez made some first-row friends in Miami. And Bryant had a game for the ages in Cincinnati.
I don't think I've ever had 5 hits in a game, let alone with 3 home runs.
The bottom dropped out in New York before the All-Star break. But Joe Madden had wise counsel.
Like Winston Churchill once said, when you're going through hell, just keep on going.
The entire Cubs infield started the All-Star game in San Diego, and Bryant bested Southside ace Chris Sale.
Might be the premier home run hitter in the National League, and this is belted.
Jason Hamill discovered a cure-all for cramps.
Potato chips. My prescription is potato chips.
The Cubs had some fun with their crosstown rivals, then deployed their new weapon out of the bullpen. Travis Wood made an unlikely catch in the vines against Seattle, but an even more unlikely hero emerged in extra innings.
Lester is going to bunt. It's out in front of the plate. Here comes Hayward. He scores. Cubs win.
And that lit the fuse on a week of walk-offs. Anthony Rizzo debuted an Olympic gymnastics routine of his own.
On the left, she's got it. Oh, what a play.
Could have stuck the line a little better, but I was pleased with it.
We saw Bryant catch fire in August.
We kind of expect him to perform at that level. He spoils us.
Maybe Rizzo could be named the MVP. Who knows?
The Cubs said goodbye to a legend of the game. And Bryant sent Vin into the sunset with a going-away present.
And a high fly ball, a mean fly ball, a gone fly ball.
Kyle Hendricks morphed from 5th starter to Cy Young contender.
Put the radar gun in your back pocket and look at what he's doing.
I thought it was back in 1987. It was Greg Maddux on the mound.
Against Pittsburgh, Miguel Montero ended a marathon in style. Addison Russell committed leather larceny with the play of the year.
Caught by Russell!
Oh, my goodness.
we're witnessing greatness with a lot of young kids right now.
John Lester opened September by flirting with a no-no, but kept his eye on the October prize.
Those World Series trophies look nice on your mantle.
Jason Hayward had his moment in the sun after a tough season at the plate. We saw another near no-no as the professor took the Cards to school. During the final homestand of the regular season, the Cubs and the Wrigley faithful honored the retiring David Ross. And after the Cubs' first division title since 2008, only one question remains.
How far will it go?
Cubs general manager, vice president Jed Hoyer joins us here on the show. This is what you've waited for. This is what you've worked for. Do you worry at all about the 4 days off or no concern?
No concern. It feels like we've been waiting for this day for 2 months. I think we've kind of known that, since early September at least, that we were going to win the division, and we clinched home field. This is kind of waiting for this day. We haven't had a lot of drama, and it's kind of nice to finally get back to these really meaningful games. And we played them for 4.5, 5 months. Now it's time to do it again.
Jed, tell me what you're feeling right now compared to what you were feeling last year at this time.
It was so different. The one-game playoff is something I had never experienced before, and it was just such a incredible flurry of emotions. Kind of waking up in the morning and knowing, okay, we're playing a elimination game. Usually, an elimination game comes at the end of a long series. You kind of know each other, you feel each other out, and then bang, you get this elimination game. The one-game playoff is just out of nowhere. It pops up like, hey, we're either back to Chicago tonight or going to St. Louis. And so that felt a lot different. Game one in St. Louis, it was almost still like that sense of relief from the one-game playoff. Now it's like we've been waiting for this day for so long. It feels like the one-game playoff, though obviously it's not an elimination game, but the realization that now we're playing. Last year, game one didn't feel that way because of the one-game playoff.
Take us through the mindset, what you had to do to come up with your playoff roster. Caesar's not on, Cahill's not on, Almora is on.
It was hard. I think that we said 10 times in the room as we made those decisions that these are good, hard decisions. We have a lot of talent, and we had some really hard conversations last night telling guys they weren't on it. We probably had 3 or 4 different meetings, kind of meet, think about it for a couple days, meet, think about it for a couple days, and then we got really serious thinking about it once we knew the Giants were the opponent. So it was difficult. Ultimately, with Albert, he's such a good defender. There's a potential for him to be a weapon for us late in the game. Matt's a very good defender as well, but ultimately, I think Albert he's such an impact glove for us. That was a big part of it. And then, knowing that they were probably going to go 12 pitchers. We wanted to be able to match up on the bench. We debated going 11 pitchers versus 12. That was a big debate, back and forth. And ultimately, Joe really wanted to be able to match up with their bullpen moves. They're a bullpen that's probably not going to go, guy in the 6th, guy in the 7th, guy in the 8th, guy in the 9th. They're probably going to match up a lot. And Joe wanted the versatility to be able to pinch hit if he needs to when they start matching up.
Was it as easy as it seems? We had a lot of fun in September putting this playoff rotation together, based on numbers and home record and everything else that was going on with these guys. Was it harder for you to I think the question everybody wants, Jake Arrieta's pitching in the 3 spot, last year, a little bit different.
Another thing that had a lot of conversations, there's a lot of factors, thinking about game one on the road.
Right.
That's a big deal, and we kind of trust Jake in those spots. He obviously was dominant last year, when he pitched in Pittsburgh. So the difficult environment was a kind of a nod to Jake a little bit. Kyle's had wonderful success at home this year. A lot of times home road splits are really misleading, but in that case they're so extreme that that was definitely something we thought about. So there was a lot of factors at play there. Ultimately, John was going to be the guy for game one. The way he's pitched, he's been so consistent. He had 21 starts with 0 or 1 runs.
Right.
So that and he has the experience. So John in the one hole, and we debated Kyle and Jake a lot, and ultimately we felt like the home situation with Kyle and then the intensity on the road with Jake was kind of the right balance.
When you look at Javi going to be at second, Bryant at third, Zobrist in left, how much talk was there to Bryant in left, Javi at third?
Yeah, that was the other option we looked at, and it's a coin flip. Some games are really obvious, like there's going to be more action third, more action at second. We always try to put Javi where the ball is going to be. This one's a little bit more of a coin flip, and sort of having Javi in the middle of the diamond is a pretty nice feeling. So listen, I think Zoe's a good outfielder. Chris has really gotten a lot better at third. And we're just fortunate that we can have a guy like Javi that we know we can sort of deploy as a defensive weapon.
I don't think the time off is complicated when it comes to the pitchers. They always appreciate the time off. The one thing we say the last 4 or 5 days might be a little bit harder for the bats. You kind of see this, the playoffs around baseball right now. There's kind of that feeling out period in game one. You see it. I mean, is there any concern with our bats and them waking up?
I think there always is, right? Like, you never know what to expect after the 4-day layoff. You want to be in that position. Like I said, you don't want to play the 1-game playoff. You want to do that. Listen, I think our guys will come out swinging. We did put a lot of emphasis on, working out this week. We played the inter squad on Tuesday. We hit on Wednesday. We were going to hit, on the field yesterday, but we got rain. Joe was really adamant that I don't want these guys sitting around. I want these guys doing stuff. Right. I think it'll, if there's an adjustment, it'll be quick.
Right.
But I do think everyone worries about that, because it's a day-to-day game, and all of a sudden you take 4 days off.
Right. As we let you go, contract extension, Theo gets his, you get yours, Jason gets his. Your thoughts?
Happy. It was never in doubt. Theo and I kind of joke that, on November 1st, we're going to show up to work whether we have a deal or not, and they're going to have to
office space.
Yeah, kick us out of the building, find my stapler. So that was never a debate, but we want to keep this group together. We love working together. We have unfinished business. Hopefully we can take care of that business now. But we have unfinished business. We want to win a World Series here, and we're all happy. And it was never really any question that we're going to stay together.
Thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Best of luck.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Now time for our keys to the game. Hollytown28 on Twitter. Take it away.
All right, here we go. That offensive outburst, that's key number one. I'm really hoping that happens. I mean, it's easy for me to say it, to speak it, to hope that the offense arrives and comes out swinging the bats after the little bit of a layoff. It's the one thing I really am concerned about. You look at all the other matchups in this series, and they favor the Cubs. Wins, bullpen, starting pitching, defense. I mean, you feel like, you just want to get to the end of this and it should be a Cubs thing. But, the bottom line is they got to come out swinging those bats. And Johnny Cueto has, as we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show, has had some moments in ball games, big ball games, at the beginning of those starts. So I'd love to see them swing those bats. But I'll buffer it this way. If they don't get to him the way I'm hoping they do, at least drive up that pitch count enough so that maybe we can get him out of there 6 innings, a little bit earlier than that, because there is an underbelly to their bullpen that has had some issues as well. So that will be key number one, offensive outburst. Fastball command, strike one for John Lester. Again, it's really, really simple. We've talked about it an awful lot this year, how good he's been with that fastball command. He's going to have to do it again tonight. This Giants team, they will take a walk. They don't have tremendous power, but they like to swing that bat. And if he's around the plate, they're going to be swinging. So if he's making pitchers pitches early, he's going to be getting good results. If he's missing and he's out over the plate a little bit, he could run into a little bit of trouble. So key is really strike one in that fastball command early in those counts. And the last one is simply enough, the bullpen advantage. And how can we make that an advantage? Now, if you keep this thing close, well, again, if you've got the lead of Aroldis Chapman, we know he's sitting down there. That's the one thing that really stands out. And you look at the issues that they've dealt with. I love what we've got going with the power arms and the matchups, the way we can do it in our bullpen. It's an advantage. So either way you get to it, I think and hope it adds up to a Cubs win, because if you're using Aroldis Chapman, well, he's saving something.
All right, let's talk about our key performers. You won the regular season. You get to go first, buddy.
I am going to go with Ben Zobrist tonight. I think he's a nice compliment to have right in there. I know he has really had no success against Johnny Cueto, but I've just got this feeling tonight that he's going to be on his game. He's going to put together those quality at-bats that we've been seeing all season long, and he's going to be in the middle of a lot of things.
I'm going to go with Anthony Rizzo. I like the matchup. I know he has had his struggles as a younger player,
this year.
But I'm going to take, I haven't taken much of Anthony. I'm going to take Anthony Rizzo to have a really good game tonight.
Right.
Not sure he's going to hit the ball in the ballpark, but I think he's going to put the ball in play and make some things happen. I look for the Cubs to score 5 or 6 runs.
That would be good, and I think that would add up to a win.
I think it would as well. All right, again, we will see you as soon as the game goes final. You catch the game on FS1, then you flip over to us and you watch Cubs postseason, post-game live right here on the field at Wrigley. Thanks so much for spending some of your evening with us. The Cubs and the Giants are coming up. Todd Hollingsworth, for our great crew here, I'm David Kaplan. We'll see you after the ball game.